What's going on, everybody? It's another edition of the NRW Checkpoint. Of course, you know who we are. It's me, WebsterStyle, man, the voice to fragrance, and also my man, Brian Sapph, joining me as always. Brian, how you doing today, sir?
Doing okay. How about yourself?
Good. It's been a long day. Let's talk about some things that
Understood.
makes us all happy. Some games.
Agreed.
First up, we have The Legend of Heroes, Tales of Azure. I keep wanting to say
Mhm.
Azure. But that's on PS4, Switch, and PC, and we are watching the trailer for that one. It is, you can imagine, it's an RPG. It's from Nihon Falcon PH3 Gimba. I'm assuming the GmbH is an acronym for something, but that's the developer, and the publisher is NIS America Inc. So this follows the events of Trails from Zero, the previous game in the series. So the special support section find themselves with new members and new duties. However, rising tensions in Crossbell, along with pressures from neighboring political powers, threaten both the safety of their home as well as the integrity of their team. So we're watching the trailer for that one. So that looks pretty interesting as well. Next up, and this is one that I was looking when I was putting everything together. I'm like, okay, what is this game?
Mm.
Like I read the synopsis. I'm like, all right. But when I went to find the trailer, I'm like, oh yeah, we gotta watch this. Just seeing the thumbnail, I'm like, oh, we have to watch this trailer. It's one of those games that we love seeing all the time. But The Wreck is the game I'm talking about, and it's for the PS4, 5, Xbox One, S, X, Switch, and PC, basically everything. It's an adventure game from publisher developer The Pixel Hunt. The Wreck is
Okay.
a 3D visual novel about sisterhood, motherhood, grief, and survival. In it, you follow failed screenwriter Junon, I think I'm saying that right, as she attempts to make it through the most pivotal day of her life, relive the past, alter the present, and embrace the future, or watch Juon's story end in a wreck. And we're watching the trailer for that one as well. Next one is Wolcen, I believe is how it's said. I want to say Woken, but it's a C and then that's there. So I'm assuming it's a,
Yeah.
you know,
Look like
anyway,
Wolcen.
Wolcen Lords of Mayhem, and that's just on next gen, current gen systems. That's on the PS5, Xbox Series X and S. It is another RPG, and this is from Wolcen Studios, which is appropriate. So, in this game, it's an action role playing dungeon crawling video game where you play as a member of the Army of Purifiers. It's already a cool name,
Army of
along with
Purified.
two childhood friends, and they become part of Operation Dawnbane to retaliate against the Brotherhood of Dawn, which has attacked a mysterious fortress. So you have the Army of Purifiers versus the Brotherhood of Dawn.
Sounds very religious.
Yeah, and epic too. So
Yeah.
we are watching the trailer for that one, so I'm looking forward to that.
Okay.
Next up is a game series that apparently, when I was doing the research, this is like the 5th game in the series, and I've never heard of it before. Of course, this isn't my type of game either, so that makes sense. And
Okay.
it's Anno 1800.
Mm.
It's for the PS5, Xbox Series S and X. It's a strategy game from developer Blue Byte and publisher Ubisoft. So it takes place in the 19th century at the dawn of the industrial age. Like other Anno
Okay.
games, Anno 1800 is a city building and strategy game. While it is set in the context of colonial trade, the featured architecture is Victorian era, and the economic engine is factory labor. So it seems like they this series, and this is the 5th one. This game actually dropped on PC, I believe it was in 2020. So it
Makes
is just
sense.
making its debut on consoles, at least this version of the game. So it seems like they give you a real life setting, but kind of mix and match with some of the aspects. So it sounds like, if you're into city building games, it sounds like a very interesting game to play.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me of, or it sounds at least a little bit like Frostpunk. I don't
Like,
for anybody that's played that game before.
right. Next up is probably, well, the last 2 games are arguably the biggest games of this week from a name
Which
brand and just hype perspective. And first up is a game that they dropped on us out of the blue, like what, 2-3 months ago? Like we're like,
yeah.
what? Really? And that is Bayonetta Origins. Cereza and the Lost Demon. This is only on the Switch. And this is an action adventure game that tells the origin of Bayonetta. And it's, if you've seen the Bayonetta games, this is like no Bayonetta game you've ever seen. This is straight up. We're watching the trailer for it because we had to, but it came so out of the blue. And obviously, it's from Platinum Games with publisher Nintendo. But even with that, it is so different from any Platinum game we've seen pretty much ever. We've seen some really unique and diverse games from Platinum Games over the past 15 years or so. Yeah. So I'm interested in definitely seeing how this plays out. So in the game is, as you said, a prequel to the entirety of the Bayonetta franchise. In Origins, players will play as young Cereza, aka Bayonetta, as she travels into the forbidden and dangerous place known as Avalon Force to find the power to save her mother. So we're definitely watching trailer for that.
Yeah, so I've already seen the trailer for this because they premiered it during the Nintendo Direct that they had 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I'm highly interested in this game. It's funny, I've never played like a full length Bayonetta game. Like I've played it here and there on like other people's Switches or whatever, but this game made me even more interested to like jump into the franchise. And I will see why when we watch the trailer, but I'm really interested in playing this particular Bayonetta game.
Right. I agree with you. I think that it's maybe tricky as far as bringing new players to the franchise, because this looks like
it's not like the core games.
Yeah, it's like an all ages Bayonetta. So it's, like you get people hooked on this and then they go to the main line and say, it's like, oh, this is not the game that I thought about Little Timmy.
Definitely. It's definitely gonna throw you off as far as the entire, but I mean, I'm assuming that they're gonna do more stories like this, like little origin stories that kind of piece together. Yeah, because well, we'll see in the trailer, but it looks really good. I like the play style of it.
All right, next up, hold up. Can you see me?
Yeah, I can.
Am I still here? Okay. Next up, we have WWE 2K23, and that's on PS4, 5, Xbox One, SX, and PC.
It is.
It's wrestling. It's WWE. Yes. Visual Concept. How many people does Visual Concepts employ? I mean, the studio has to be. I mean, they do this. They do the 2K series.
Yeah.
They also doing that arcade football game now.
Okay.
Like how many people do they employ? Because I you just think of, and I'm getting off track, but I'm just thinking of, okay, you think 2K, but then they do this.
Yeah.
And especially since they're doing it internally now at the past couple of years, and now that arcade football game I was reading about because of the NFL license, I'm like, they have to, I would assume that that development team has to be quite large and have different teams working on different things. So kudos to Visual Concepts, been rocking with them since 2000. 2000.
Yeah.
With the original 2K.
Right.
All of them. 2K, NFL 2K, NBA 2K. So shout outs to them.
I feel like that's where because it could go either way. It could be a small team and they're doing a lot of copying and pasting, which is why we have NBA 2K sitting where it is, or it could be a large team and they're able to crank out all of these different games at the same time. Either way, that entire brand, they've been very, very consistent in the gaming space for, like you said, since 2000. So I'm impressed. I like that they keep going and they're finding different ways to sneak into these different IPs and then be like a mainstay. Because I mean, WWE, I don't see that being any other game without a 2K slapped on the back of it.
Not anymore.
And that's somebody who hasn't played since probably the first or second one. But
right. So, well, as we said, it's WWE 2K23. John Cena's on the cover. What real description do we need to give about this game? It's wrestling, it's WWE. All your favorite superstars are going to be there. They even got Cody Rhodes, who's doing double duty whenever that AEW game comes out, which has been pushed back like forever. But if you're into wrestling games, you're into WWE, this is the game for you. Not really much of a description we need to give you.
Right.
If you know, you know.
Right.
So we were just talking about Bayonetta. Let's get into our first trailer for Bayonetta Origins, Cereza, and the Lost Demon.
Let's do it.
Experience Bayonetta's origins as a young witch named Cereza.
I love this art style. I love
the
power to rescue her imprisoned mother.
See, that was a part of the
into the
thing
Avalon
that was
Forest
like, oh yeah, I
by
want to play
fairies.
this game.
I'm going to that
It
forest.
has a unique art style and it's
I'm going to become
like
a
the
witch
main stage,
and save
the main
Mummy.
series.
There,
And then
she
this play
encounters
style
the
is about to get
otherworldly
us.
demon Cheshire.
Cheshire is
You
her.
control both witch and demon at the same time. Harness Cereza's magic and Cheshire's ferocity to travel through this mysterious and dangerous forest.
They give it a real like platformer kind of vibe, but then they have these battles.
Cannot attack and can only support Cheshire by magically binding enemies. Hold an enemy in place while Cheshire attacks, or stop an aggressive one to focus on another. Strategically use each character's abilities to win battles.
That's the part I'm interested in.
The duo will gain strength as they continue their journey. By obtaining more powers, new paths can be opened, and battles can be more easily swayed in your favor. Can Cereza and Cheshire find their happily ever after?
I think so.
Bayonetta Origins, Cereza and the Lost Demon prowls onto the Nintendo Switch system March 17th. Pre-orders are available now on Nintendo.
I am so impressed. Outside of just the pure artistry of the game and how drastic of a departure it is, visually speaking, from the core Bayonetta games, the fact that they like, hey, we have this, bullet hell sort of adventure game with this scantily clad, seductress witch and guns ablazing. Let's make a platforming strategy watercolor adventure game as a adventure. Who thinks of that? But it looks like it works so well, and I'm just so impressed that they had the sort of, I wouldn't say foresight, but they were looking in the past in the origin story, but foresight to really like, hey, this is the main game. We can do something different with this franchise to maybe bring in new game players, new consumers for this character, to get a different feel for this character, especially she's a lot younger, more naive, learning her magic. I think this could be a really, I hope there's a really big one for Platinum. And you look at this, like, this is a game made for Nintendo Switch.
Right.
Straight up. It's a Nintendo Switch game. That's the main thing I took away. Like, the first time I said, like, this is for the Switch. Not saying it can play anybody else, because it could, but this is for the Switch. You can tell it's for the Switch. And I'm really impressed. I'm looking forward to see what everybody says on the net, and eventually I'll play it eventually. But yeah, it looks really cool. What you think, Brian?
Yeah, I agree. I'm like I said, as somebody who's only played like bits and pieces of the Bayonetta games, this entices me even more to like want to play the games. And I noticed that with Nintendo specifically, instead of running out and trying to acquire all of the small studios to like build them brand new IP or whatever, they're taking a step in the other direction and looking at the popular IP that they have in their stable and be like, how do we expand the worlds of these properties that we already have? Because if you think about it, Bayonetta is not the first game to kind of like do something like this. We see this with Fire Emblem, where they have like a main like game, a main franchise of games, and then they also have a side franchise that's more open world. It's more kind of like Dynasty Warriors, whereas the main games are more tactical and turn based. And I don't know. I think that's a really, really good strategy, especially with the way games are going today, where I don't know, everything's kind of copy and paste a little bit. We start to see games that mirror each other, and battle royales are still very, very big. Nintendo is like, we're not gonna fully push in that direction. Let's take the characters that we already have, that already have a loyal fan base over here for us with Nintendo, and figure out a way to not only entertain the customers that we do have based on those characters, but also bring in new ones. I think this one's going to be one that's like going to continue to prove that formula to be a smart move, because I'm very, very interested. There's somebody that already wanted to play the game. This is just making me want to play even more.
Right. I feel you. I am much like you. I have a copy of the first Bayonetta, which I played through somewhat. I got it via Xbox Live years ago. Too many games in my backlog from Xbox Live Gold, but that's another story. So like I said, I have a passing familiarity of it. Like I've played it. I understand why people love it. I just haven't sat down with it because there are way too many games that I still need to play. But just this quote unquote reinvention of the franchise and this offshoot, definitely a good look in my opinion. So I hope that this does really well.
Me too. Because I mean, like I said, if they could find a way to explore some of the other characters in the Bayonetta franchise and give them their own like origins that kind of piece together an overall, bigger world or whatever, that would be great. Especially if we lead into something it's almost imminent, like a Bayonetta 4. We're most likely going to get that.
Right, definitely.
That would be, really, really, really cool to watch them build these origin stories out and find out how those like tie into, the main games moving forward.
Right. Or even I'm thinking this way. This is something, we are more than likely easy money going to start to hear real rumblings about a next Nintendo system, whether it's a straight up Switch successor or not. We shall see. But I think everybody will bet easy money the Switch will really just become Nintendo's default handheld system. This is a good series to continue on that system. If there's no backwards compatibility, Nintendo would be really stupid not to have backwards compatibility in their next system, in my opinion, considering how successful the Switch has been. But this could be a game that really could speak well on this platform and continue on as its own, while Bayonetta 4 obviously would have those updated graphics and modes or what have you, and wouldn't be able to play on the older Switch. Say it's the Switch 2, it wouldn't be able to play on the Switch 1 or the Switch Lite. So I think Platinum has a winning formula here with Bayonetta and the branching paths of the franchise, in my opinion.
I agree.
All right. Next up, we have the first of two RPGs. This one is The Legend of Heroes: Trails of Azure.
Okay.
西ゼムリア通商会議の開催を宣言させていただきます。
That was a very anime opening intro here.
Why does that remind me of Castle and Wolcen?
Because it reminds me. I can see it. Yeah.
我々はもはや他国の思惑に振り回されるわけにはいきません。私はここに市民及び大陸諸国に対しクロスベルの国家独立を提唱します。
それにあんな連中が入り込んできた以上、予想外の事態への保険は欲しい。
あんな連中。
両兵団、赤い星座、ゼムリア大陸西部において最強と言われる両兵団の一つだ。現在多数の所属メンバーがクロスベル入りしていることが確認されている。帝国政府の後押しを受けているのは確実なようだな。
となると、その会議中、首脳連中を守り抜けばいいのか。
オズボーン宰相は帝国内にかなりの敵対勢力を持っていると言われていますし、
いずれにせよ現在できつつある構図には何らかの意味があるはずです。
I wanted to see some of the
there's no battles in this trailer. That sucks.
Yeah, I wanted to see what that was like. Did they say what style of game this was?
It did not, at least not in the synopsis that I read earlier. The graphical style, it reminds me of a Dreamcast game.
Yeah.
Like I'm sitting here thinking of not Skies, but the RPG I cut my teeth on, Evolution. Like I played that. That was like my first real RPG, and I'm sitting here and I'm looking because that had a very political, military aspect to it as far as the story is concerned. In some parts, and it reminded me of that so much as far as the art style, the character designs. Again, not one to one, but It looked like something that could run on a Dreamcast. That's no disrespect, because there are a lot of games that ran on Dreamcast and look still great today.
Right.
But it looks interesting, very text heavy.
Yeah, which I noticed those like RPGs that are like anime inspired like that, they tend to be. But well, I mean,
I don't mind reading, but I'll say this:
there needs to be a dub mode.
with the age of gaming we're in now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying there shouldn't be any reason, but there is a lot of incentive for having your titles dubbed.
Mm-hmm.
Have some voice act, even if it's horrible. We can have fun and laugh at the bad voice acting, but
Right.
that's the way I feel. But so that was the Legend of Heroes Tales of Azure. Next up, we have another RPG, Wolcen Lords of Mayhem.
Okay.
If you cannot defeat me, how do you plan to defeat the supernatural forces that feed and prey on mankind? Fight me!
Speak of the devil.
Yes, that's interesting. I'm ready. Okay.
Kind of reminds me of like
I can see that.
I can get this. I can definitely get this.
This looks dope.
Yeah.
This one, okay, PS5. Okay.
Yeah, it's just that's just next gen current gen systems. So PS5, Xbox S and X, and PC for that.
Okay.
One.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if they got a demo for that.
Yeah, and then last up we have The Wreck.
Is it okay? Right. This might be a little traumatic here.
I'll tell you this story.
Your mom had a brain aneurysm. Do you know what that means?
Is she going to die?
We just found out that mom might die. Does that mean nothing to you?
Everything that happened to us, it helped us. There was a reason.
Why the hell do I feel so alone? Do I really have to be so angry? Do I really hate my mother? Memory is weird. You suddenly remember these moments without knowing why, until you realize it's trying to teach you something crucial. No one can live like this, not really. But we can change. Everyone can change. I have to leave it all behind.
It looks interesting.
It does. This is a compelling story underneath all of that. I think.
Yeah.
I think it'll be interesting to find. I don't know. Car crashes, they're a little for me, but
I understand.
but yeah, it looked like it's a decent story there. I'm interested to see how it plays.
That's why I was glad to actually peeped up the trailer real quick, because we are always talking about stories and how the current state of the gaming medium right now just really allows for compelling stories, or storytellers to really tell compelling stories and realistic stories at that.
Right.
So yeah, The Wreck looks like one of those games that'll definitely go along with that sort of mentality. And again, artistry and telling a story is really what it's all about. And just as much as we looked at Wolcen Lords of Mayhem, and let's be frank, regardless of how good the story is, that action is what drew us to that trailer. And it's like,
right.
Cool. We care less about the story. That's
right.
We play for the action and killing the hordes. In contrast, The Wreck is definitely like, okay, let's play this story. Let's see what happens. What can we change? Like, I'm intrigued by that one.
Me too. I don't know, something about a good story, man. I say all the time, like, video games are like books you're playing or movies you play through. So when they hone in on like great writing and storytelling and dialogue,
Right.
They tend to make for really, really good, exciting games. Just games that hold your attention long enough for you to beat them.
Right. Exactly. So, Brian, what's going on with you this week?
Nothing. I don't know. Nothing really. Yeah, I'm just chilling, trying to rest and prepare. I'm about to be traveling soon, so I'm getting ready for that.
That's right. You got a concert kind of soon, right?
Yes, sir. Going up to North Carolina for the Dreamville Festival. Shout out to J. Cole and his entire Dreamville label. That's great that you guys are putting this on. Probably not watching this. Either way, I'm writing this out. So maybe early next week I'll probably have some. This is because it's been kind of slow. So how much I want to expand on. What about you?
I'm working on a new episode. Picard is so good.
Oh, really?
Oh my goodness.
I'm happy to hear you say that.
Episode 5 this week because I did 2 and 3 in the last week's show. So I'll talk about 4 and 5. This Picard is so good. I was like, where were you guys in the first two seasons? I'm like on the edge of my seats the whole episode. It is straight up like I am watching, like, you know how good First Contact was and how it really set that theme for the next generation. This feels like the movie that should have came after First Contact. Only thing you just had to wait 30 years for it. It's just, like it's so good. So I'll be talking about the latest episodes of that. I went to Black America Market last week and I tried out a whole bunch of their fragrances they're selling there. So I'm going to be talking about one, Ola Zion number 23, and also there's a new collaboration video game related between Wolverine and Halo for Halo themed boots. So I'll be talking about those as well whenever I sit down to record. So we're recording this one toward the end of the week, so it'll probably be out by Sunday, Monday.
Yeah. Okay, you're right.
So,
I understand.
but of course, you know where to find Brian at Brian Sapph, Talk+Play, blerdcast, myself, WebsterStyle. But of course, you are currently the nerds who rule the world, baby. And I'm a proud nerd, always have been, always will be. You can check us out on Twitter at the NRW, on Instagram at News Wednesday. Of course, you're currently on YouTube. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe.
Right now. Beep.